Let me start with something uncomfortable but important. If your outsourcing team doesn't take ownership, then there are high chances that it is not your process, but it is because of you. Not your intentions, not your intelligence, but your behavior. And hey, before you switch this off, stay with me. This episode is not about blame, it's about awareness. Most founders and CTOs genuinely believe that I have set up the right process. I have documented everything. I am being clear. And probably you are. But understand that ownership does not respond to clarity alone. It responds to emotional signals. Teams don't watch what you say, they watch what you react to. Think of leadership like driving a car. You might tell your passengers, relax, I've got this. But if your hands constantly jerk the steering wheel at every small bump or every tiny sound, then no one relaxes. They feel doubt, they feel uncomfortable, they feel fear. And that's what exactly happens in outsourcing teams. Overcorrection, instant feedback, public fixing, silent disappointments. Each one is a small staring jerks. Individually harmless, but collectively exhausting. Ownership does not disappear loudly. It fades quietly. It fades when every suggestion is adjusted, when every decision is double checked, when every mistake is remembered longer than efforts. And if this happens, then teams learn something powerful, that thinking is costing energy, whereas executing safely costing less. So they adapt. They stop thinking out loud. They stop anticipating the problem. They stop caring ahead of time. Not because they don't want to own the things, but because the ownership feels unsafe. Let me add an important context here, especially for teams in India and Gujarat. Many engineers here grow in environments where respect means control, speaking up means risk, and authority is not casually questioned. So, if leadership, even unintentionally, signals that ideas slow down things, silence is safer than initiative, then teams don't rebel, they withdraw. And from outside, it looks like they don't take ownership. But from inside, they feel that I should not overstep. So, ownership here does not show up by force, but it shows up when behavior makes space for. Here is the habit that kills ownership faster than anything else. Immediate correction. You hear the idea, you already see a flaw, you jump in to save time. Logical? Yes. Efficient? Maybe. But emotionally, this message lands as thinking is not needed here. After a few rounds, people stop offering ideas, not because they lack them, but because they learned the pattern. The leadership speed becomes team silence. Here is a counter initiative truth. Ownership grows when leaders pause more than they speak. Not because they lack the answers, but because silence gives permission. Try these. Let ideas finish, even if they sound imperfect. And ask questions like, what made you think that? And, and delay the correction a little. This pause does something powerful. It tells the team that you are allowed to think here. And thinking is a doorway to ownership. No process can fix emotional signals. You can redesign workflows, you can introduce new and better tools, you can optimize stand ups, but no process can override emotional signs. Teams will always respond more to tone, timing, reaction, and consistency. Ownership is built in moments, not in meetings. At Equine Softec, we have learned this lesson across years of working with founders and CTOs. The best outsourcing relationship does not start with better processes. It starts with better leadership behavior. And that's why we focus deeply on how leaders interact with teams, how feedback is delivered, how trust is built over time. Because once the behavior changes, the ownership follows naturally, no force required. And if you expect ownership from your outsourced teams, then don't first ask that how do I make them responsible? And instead ask, what signals am I sending them every day? Because teams don't rise to your expectation, they settle in your behavior. If you are a founder or CTO trying to build your outsourcing team in India that think, care, and take ownership and not just deliver tasks, then it might be worth thinking how you lead, not just who you hire. And that's the space we quietly work in at Equine Softec. In the next episode, we'll talk about how to measure ownership properly without relying on hours, velocity, or vanity metrics. Because what you measure ultimately shapes how teams behave.